Hey guys, what's going on? NCS Master here again, back for one last video here for the end of 2023, and I guess it's only appropriate that we ended talking about a shitload of games that came out in 2023. And I'm not here alone for this video. I'm actually joined by a good few friends here this time. I've got with me SpaceKingScot,
Yay!
Flame Guy 21,
Hello, I am
and
real.
and IcedGlitch.
I guess I'm here.
He's here in spirit. So, how are you guys doing today?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
Good, I guess. And by the way, me and Space are like staying at Ice's place for a few days. We were speaking to you on an Android tablet and not like a proper microphone, which
Yes.
is the best we could do. Given
Yeah,
given
I-
the situation. So
I
we probably sound iffy.
sound like
But-
I was listening to some of the
That's what it is.
recordings from the testing, and I'm probably gonna sound really good while everyone else sounds like soup.
Damn, that's sad, but
I've had soup.
Alright,
the
but
soup cast.
the soup can. We're joined by the Chef Boyardee crew over here. But okay, so we were mainly just gonna do just a podcast talking about like some of our favorite games of the year, just like a good handful. There's probably gonna be a big overlap with a few of us here. I know for sure there's at least a couple that like at least 3 out of the 4 of us are all gonna have on the same list. But yeah, this is just gonna be pretty off the cuff, just shoot the shit, what we thought about gaming this year and what was good and what we loved about it. So I guess maybe we can start here with just like a general vibe of what we all thought of this year. So like I know the big sentiment across this entire year was like 2023 will go down as like one of the best years for like all of gaming ever. And so like do you guys think you agree with that sentiment? Because I think there's a very strong argument for that.
More or less, yeah. Like there were a lot of games that came out this year. So many that I did not play most of them.
I think it was a fantastic year for gamers. Well, assuming you're not a gamer that only plays Call of Duty.
Or a
That's-
dev.
But it's also, this is one of the worst years in gaming for developers, and that's like really sad.
Yeah.
I like being a gamer. I like having all these great games, but it really is shitty to know like stuff going on in the industry is kind of hampering the mood.
Yeah, there's been a lot of rough shit going on in the industry, so much so that I think even a lot of us forget that like even the beginning of this year wasn't that good about that. Like I still remember like it was like January to April was like almost defined by like new week, new live service game is shutting down.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it all started with Lightfall being completely and utterly garbage. The Destiny 2 expansion.
Just so you guys know, Ice here is our resident Destiny fanboy.
Yeah.
I have spent thousands on the game. Help, please.
We
I
need to
don't
get
know how he's managed to play for so long. I
we
played
need
the first game like 8 eons ago. Stopped after the base game. I didn't feel like playing the DLC.
Perspective here. Seeing as you're a guy that does put up with live service gaming, from your perspective, how was live service gaming this year?
Too many of them. Everybody wants every nickel and dime. Pretty much tired of a single cosmetic being $10 when you would normally get that cosmetic plus a whole entire game for $60. Kinda like iffy.
Yeah, I mean honestly like the live service craze, it's just it's the MMO craze from the 2000s all over again. Everybody wants to be World of Warcraft or Fortnite, but only like 2 games can be that.
If you want to play a good shooter, free to play game, try Warframe. You can do literally everything for free.
Yeah, that game was pretty good. But yeah, I would say overall, like, this was a very, very good year for games. Now, granted, I think a lot of it can be somewhat attributed to the pandemic absolutely screwed over a lot of release schedules, so we got a ton pushed back into this year. But as a result, we got a lot of good stuff this year, like across the board. I'd say very good year for AAA games, very good year for indie games, and I don't think there was a lack of stuff to play at all, to the point where, like, if you're one of those dude bros on Twitter saying there's nothing to play, you got absolutely dunked on this year.
Yeah, that was always funny to see on Twitter. Like, I think that for some people, they just like they grew up playing like a couple of games, and those same couple of games have stagnated forever, and they never really ventured out of that bubble. So as a
Yeah.
result, they think the industry is terrible when no, it's really not. You just gotta get out of that little bunker you've put yourself into. Trust
Yeah.
me, you're not a weirdo just because you want to play a Mario game.
My brother and friend,
Scott.
piece of is right there.
Yeah.
Scott, I completely neglected you, and you probably forgot about it too. The Bayonetta Origins came out this year.
Well, yeah, that did come
I
out.
did.
I forgot about that.
You know what? I should put that on my honorable mentions list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can tell we're very much going off the cuff here, folks.
Yeah, yeah. I literally
I-
just got a list of a couple games here.
I got it for my birthday, I think. I haven't played it yet, so cool.
I promise it's good.
I believe you. I just haven't played it yet.
Yeah, I feel like with gaming, like especially this year, it was telling of like a trend that I've noticed in recent times. It's like single player games are absolutely like exploding, but like multiplayer games are like in the trenches.
I don't know. Honestly, I think it might just be because Fortnite's so popular. Like everyone wants, if everyone,
At 14.
oh yeah, that too. Like, if you want to play a multiplayer game, people will just kind of go on to like 2 or 3 of them. So like the other ones can't really exist
Yeah.
unless they're BattleBit remastered for some reason.
By the way, I hate that game already. I bought it, played it for one day, and the time to kill on every weapon is way too fast. Like, I got one tap by an assault rifle at sniper rifle range at full health. I was like, yeah, no. And then
Yeah.
nobody plays the classes, so...
Yeah, but I think so now we could probably talk about like the game specifically. And so we were also thinking about that we could mention to start off with, even though this is a best games of 2023 podcast, we'll start with games that are not from 2023, but instead one game that we each really, really enjoyed that we played in 2023 for the first time. So would any of you prefer to start off with that game for you?
I have notes jotted down, so I can literally start off right now.
Okay,
Alright.
go for it.
You can start us off with that.
All right, so one game I played that wasn't from 2023, but I did play in 2023 and enjoyed quite a lot was Katamari Damacy Reroll and its sequel Katamari We Heart Katamari Reroll. I kind of jumbled them together because effectively it's the same experience. They sell them together as a bundle on the eShop. And it's the same basic gimmick. You roll up a giant ball consisting of objects from throughout the environment, and the controls are very weird, but also strangely intuitive for the experience that it is. Katamari is a series that I kind of grew up knowing about, but I never got the proper experience with until this year. So it was like a weird experience for me. It's like, I know all there is to know about this because I'm around people that love it, but I never actually made the jump and got into it myself until this year. And honestly, it surprised me with how fun and chill it ended up being. And it was very addictive, extremely charming. It's insanely good, unique music that you're not going to find in many other games. And go back on that point about the sequel remake. That one's arguably even better than the first game by just making the first game again, but more of it. So fantastic experience. I was glad to have it. I'm glad that they did the remake. I hope they don't just let the series wither away and die now. Please do more of these. Please, Namco. I know you don't market your games very often, but do me a favor here, please. I'm begging you.
Yeah, I've never played Katamari Damacy, but from what I've heard, it just looks like one of those and seen. It looks like just one of those really weird games that you just kind of play and like just kind of like mindlessly enjoy. It's like, what the fuck is going on here? But it's still entertaining.
I haven't played a Katamari game either. It sounds like a giant acid trip.
It is absolutely.
it is 100%.
You know, that's a bad
What?
thing, but like, it is one.
It is 100% an acid trip.
Yeah. Hey, sometimes video games as acid trips don't have to be a bad thing, said every Hotline Miami fan ever.
Hotline Miami is a gigantic acid trip, but it's also an insanely good game just in its own right too.
Yeah. But I guess I can go next for a game that I played in 2023. Well, it's kind of cheating a little bit, because likely the majority of people will have played this game in 2023 or beyond because it came out in December of 2022. But I wanted to mention it because very few people talk about this game nowadays, and I think it deserves so much better. And that's Chained Echoes. That was a game that I just found on the eShop on like I believe it was actually like Christmas Eve. I was just perusing the eShop because it was like, you know what? It's Christmas. I got money. I'm going to buy some stuff for myself because I feel like it. And I saw that on the eShop and I looked up some stuff about it and it was like, oh, okay, this seems like it could be a pretty good game. And I ended up just deciding to play because it looked like a cool like pixel art style indie RPG. And it ended up becoming like one of my absolute favorite games of the year in the very ass end of 2022. Like that game is so good. It's probably one of the best indie RPGs I've ever played, period. I think it is amazingly written. It's got beautiful pixel art, fantastic music. I think it's one of the biggest sleeper hits of like the past several years, I would honestly say. I didn't even know it was like a Kickstarter game until like I found out about the game itself, and I found out later, oh shit, it had a Kickstarter. I would have absolutely followed along with that if I knew about it. But like I just can't stress enough like how damn good that game is. Like it is literally like if somebody took a classic SNES/PS1 RPG and brought it into the modern day with like modern sensibilities and like design philosophies and writing, and it's just like, oh my god, it's so damn good. And like everybody who's played it loves it, and I hope to God that like the creator of that game, because it mostly was like a one-man game. I hope to God he does a sequel, because I think that game more than deserves it, and it would be so cool to see a sequel to it.
Another game that I have not played but probably should.
I know that the developer is an insanely based individual because he cited Xenogears as the biggest inspiration for the project, or one of them. And then he said that Xenoblade Chronicle 3's release during last year almost single-handedly caused the game to be delayed a month.
Yeah, the game is very much if Chrono Trigger and FF6 had a baby, like genuinely. Like its style and everything about it, it just like those two in particular, it draws so much from. And for someone like me, that is not a bad thing at all.
I keep
Alright.
seeing it on the Steam Winter Sale a lot too, so it tempts me.
Maybe I gotta buy it for you.
It tempts me. Hey! You already got me playing Live Alive for Christmas.
All right. So you want to go next, Flame?
Yeah, I guess so. Okay, so this is the part where I talk about my current Guilty Gear Strive hyperfixation. Alright, so like, I've never really played a fighting game other than Super Smash Brothers. Like, I kind of played a few, but like, I never like played one. But I kept seeing fan art of Guilty Gear characters on Twitter, and It was on sale for $20, so it's like, you know what? Why not? Like, it looks
character
kind
design by.
like, I mean, the game looked kind of fun. I didn't really know much about it, but cool characters, which is good for a fighting game. You kind of want to play as the characters. I mean, honestly, it's like shockingly easy to get into it because there's like a bazillion like missions you can play. That like just that like teach you in like excruciating detail how to play like everything about the game. So you don't have to like go looking into like online tutorials about how to even do this weird mechanic that like top players are doing but you didn't even know was in the game. Like, it does tell you how to do that.
I was having trouble with the tutorial missions. Like it even just like the air slash where I had to go right twice to dash and then attack the guy. I would either miss or it would still hit me even though I jumped or something weird. It ended up pissing me off enough to where I rage quit and refunded the game.
Although, like, don't you also tend to just give up on games after like an hour or two a lot of the time?
Okay, listen. If I can't get into the game and it seems like an omega time sink to learn how to play the game, I don't get involved. I already have limited amount of time as it is.
On the one hand, that's pretty fair. On the other hand, it only took me like 2 or 3 hours to really feel comfortable with everything.
I mean, I've also never liked fighting games entirely. Like, I barely play Smash Bros.
Yeah, that's probably part of it too.
And that's because it's simple enough to be a party game.
Although, back on the positives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like if you actually like fighting games, it's pretty easy to get into, and like the mechanics go pretty deep too when you like really get into it. And like it's one of those games where like I wasn't completely sure about it, but then like 2 weeks later, here I am buying the first 3 character passes, which is everything right now.
It's a fighting game that's probably going to go for another 2 or 3 years.
I think it's also the first game in the series to sell over 1 million. I think it's
Yeah.
like 2.5 million now,
It's like-
so they're milking it for all it's worth.
It's like the first one to do actually well, like outside of hardcore fighting game circles.
It's also, that game has become an extremely common point of discussion that randomly keeps showing up in our Discord server.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've heard stuff about Guilty Gear just like popping up in my TikTok.
It's also one of the games that's upsetting hardcore fighting game fans for getting more casuals into the genre, and I say, haha, get fucked.
Yeah,
You know?
honestly.
So you're telling me that any fighting game that is popular, people just hate. See Super Smash Brothers.
So, like, I'm thinking about buying Guilty Gear Strive and maining Bridget for the express purpose of pissing off transphobes.
Oh
That
my
is a
god.
perfectly valid reason to do so.
Yeah, shout out to their queer representation in that.
Yeah, I never assume anyone in Guilty Gear is straight.
All right. Well, I think now we can go on to you, Ice, so we can close out.
Yes, my game of the year. I'm gonna cheat a little bit here.
Or yeah, the game
playing last year.
Yeah, the game you played last year.
From last year.
Yeah. Well, it's not from last year. It's from a couple years ago. I'm cheating a little bit here. It's 2 games, and that's SteamWorld Dig and SteamWorld Dig 2. Oh my god, I never liked Metroidvanias, like, except for Samus Returns and SteamWorld Dig. It is just so much fun to go down, and then once you upgrade your character, it's like a meaningful upgrade. It's not just like, oh, you gotta get the blue rocket to shoot the blue thing. It's usually something completely different that changes the way you traverse up and down the thing. So like at one point you unlock wall jumping, which means you no longer have to buy ladders and stuff, and it's fantastic. The story's pretty good. The combat's forgiving, but not too forgiving. It's just overall a good time. I loved the hell out of that game. Don't get me started on Steam World Quest though. Mid AF.
Not a fan of the spin-off.
I played the first Steam World Dig.
The second one's better.
I thought it was pretty good. Never got around playing the second one, even though I have it.
I mean, it's a direct continuation.
The second one is just more of the same and better, like more polished.
Yeah.
But one thing you mentioned, how that like some abilities like make it easier to like traverse around and makes you feel very powerful. That's generally what a good Metroidvania should do. Because like in Metroid Prime, for example, like once you get the space jump, like you can obviously still get on new places, but like it also makes just getting around easier in general because you just have 2 jumps now.
Yeah, I just always like some of the Metroidvanias I've played. It's usually like you got to go way out of your way for like the blue key to unlock the blue door, and then you don't get anything else out of going out all your way there. But that's why I also like Samus Returns, was because, well, I could morph ball, and then I can jump and bomb with the morph ball, and now I have a height jump. Cool.
Not like you
then,
play more of the 2D Metroid games.
Yeah.
You'd probably really like Metroid Fusion if you liked the Samus Returns, because Samus Returns is on the linear side.
Yeah, probably like Fusion or Zero Mission.
But I forget, is Hollow Knight a Metroid thing?
Yes, it is.
It is a very
I couldn't get past that at all.
Honestly,
I'm
Hollow Knight is a terrible Metroidvania to start with.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Like it ends up being a game, like for me at least, I ended up liking it a lot more when I just kind of like really got into it, just try to play it. But I also love Metroidvanias. It is not a very good first Metroidvania.
Yeah,
I'll definitely give it that.
Yeah, it would be like trying to have Crash Bandicoot like 1 as your very first platformer. Like that's not a good one to start with.
Hey kid, you want a video game? Here's Bubsy 3D.
Oh God.
Someone.
What?
That has probably happened to someone that Bubsy 3D was their first game.
Oh God.
If they had got Crash 2 instead, they would have ended up loving video games their entire life, but now they loathe them.
The only worst fate would be like, hey, considering how Scott feels about game, only worst fate would be getting Starfield as your very first game.
Oh no.
I mean, at least Starfield was a competent video game.
It feels like a game that's AI generated.
Yeah, it's a game that exists.
Yeah,
that's not like 3 levels of bad, you know?
Yeah, spoilers.
Shout out to their queer representation in Starfield too.
Yeah,
we love fucking pronouns.
Spoiler alert for our list. Starfield is not on any of our lists. I won't be as harsh on it as the other guys, but I know 2 of the guys in this chat want to beat that game with a stick.
Yeah, we love fucking pronouns and fucking gender ambiguity.
We do. We
stand that shit here.
That clip is still one of the most hilarious things from the entirety of the internet this year.
The guy straight up looked like if a baby made a wish to become an adult.
I saw that tweet earlier. I also
seen there was a bug where they forgot to record they/them voice lines, so they misgendered somebody's character in one of the things. They got mad.
Whoops.
So the character would use they/them pronouns voice lines, and then the moment you piss them off, it would be he/him.
Oh my God.
All right, I guess we can get into proper top 5s now?
Yeah, so do we want to start with our actual, 5 games that we picked out, or do we want to quickly run through honorable mentions first?
Well, let's go. We can do the honorable mentions last.
All right.
Yeah.
we actually do mention it somewhere.
All right, so yeah, I don't have a heavy particular order here for the games, so I'll just mention some that I have written down. I know for a fact that we'll have like some overlap for our games. So what I
Yeah.
think we can do is I'll just go through my 5 first, and then because I know for a fact we'll have overlap, and we'll just all talk about whether we have the games on the list or not. And then once mine ends, we can go to the next person, and they can start talking about any of the games that I didn't mention that they have on their list, and we can just go down the line until we've mentioned everyone's like 5 games they have on their list.
Are you sure you don't want to roll a d20 and put everything in a list and do a wheel picker and?
Hey, can you tell
All
he's
right,
been
boys,
can you tell he's been playing a certain game this year, folks?
all right, I'm gonna roll
All
for
right.
initiative. Goes.
So speaking of D20s right now, today we went to the used game store. I was looking for something very specific, and before we walked into the door, I said I'm gonna roll a D20 to see if it's here, and I got a 10. And I walk in, and so 10 means like so luck, and it just so happened that what I was looking for was there, which was a physical copy of Xenogears, and I did
Oh,
manage to
nice.
get it.
How expensive was it? Isn't it like really expensive right now?
It was $100, which is actually a competitive price.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I got that game like several years back for I think like 40 or so. That was
You're
before
lucky.
that was before the pandemic. So um but yeah, so we can start off here with my list, and I don't have any particular ranking, but I'll just start off with the one that I know for a fact that we are all going to talk about. So let's just get it out of the way right now. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Oh man, I thought you were gonna say Splatoon 17.
Yeah, this feels like one of the obvious ones that we were going to talk about. Like, when you're talking about the game of the year for 2023, it's either this or another game that I'm going to mention very soon. But yeah.
You gotta love second place.
So, yeah, like, I feel like we all knew that Tears of the Kingdom was going to be an incredible game. I think there was no doubt about that.
Honestly, I would have been more shocked if it was bad.
I had a lot of fun with Tears. Unfortunately for me, it seemed pretty like, how do I put this?
More of the same.
Even though it's an open world Switch game, it was more of the same, but the overworld felt more barren. I wish there was more Sky Islands.
That's a fair criticism,
yeah.
I guess.
Although, I mean, I guess it comes down to your creativity because, like, with the whole Ultra Hand thing, you can just kind of run around, do whatever, and just you can just play Gary's mod pretty much.
There's almost no reason to go to the Sky Islands after the tutorial. There's nothing to do.
There's like a good 30 or so shrines in the Sky Islands, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you can ignore them, but like, with the kind of game this is, you technically don't have to go anywhere. You can just rush toward where Ganon is and fight him theoretically. So like, everything's technically optional.
Yep. I think
Yeah.
that was part of the things that made Breath of the Wild a magical experience, was that they just like had, okay, this is a 1-hour tutorial segment. Then after that, we are not going to touch you at all. You are allowed to do whatever the hell you want to do. And I feel like they did actually manage to replicate that feel to a decent degree with Tears of the Kingdom. I don't know if they necessarily captured magic in like lightning in a bottle a second time, but for my money, the game is just confidently better than Breath of the Wild.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, in many ways it is just a Breath of the Wild, but a straight upgrade in many things that you can do with it.
But like, I actually thought like, even though like it reused like the same map and everything, they changed enough of it to where it didn't feel stale, at least to me.
Oh yeah.
Because like,
Yeah.
when I first landed on the ground, I was just like, okay, I kind of know where this is. I kind of know where this is. Everything probably feels very familiar. And they're just like, wait a minute, what is this place? Where am I?
So, like, for me, what is most impressive about the game is its engineering. The first time I ever jumped off a Sky Island, I tried. I face planted because I forgot to press the button. But the second time I jumped off a Sky Island, it was a Sky Island that was above a chasm, and so I jumped off of the sky, through the sky, off of the down through the overworld, and into the depths in one setting.
Oh,
And that was like my fucking jaw hit the floor that this was functioning. Like my fucking jaw hit the floor. I could not believe that that was working on the Switch.
yeah,
like,
that
it's
is
kind of
absolutely.
insane how seamless this game is, and like
Mhm.
how like everything just works as you would expect it to, using the power of a 2016 tablet.
It feels like an impossible game from an engineering perspective. Impossible.
Like this game was absolutely a QA nightmare. Like Ultra Hand itself was guaranteed to be at least one of the game's delays.
Almost certainly. I think that Ultra Hand by itself, you could dedicate an entire game just to it. But then, in addition to Ultra Hand, you get Ascend, and you get Auto Build, and you get
Rewind.
Fuse, and you get Rewind, and all of these individually are like game worthy, right? But no, we're just gonna give you all of these tools, and I thought that I would really miss Cryonis and Magnesis and Time Stop and all of that from the first game, but honestly, after I got acclimated to Ultra Hand, I was like, no, not only do I not miss them, I don't want to go back to Breath of the Wild anymore. I will miss Ultra
only-
Hand.
I did miss
The only-
Infinite Bombs.
I missed. Okay, yeah, I missed Infinite Bombs too, but the one I really missed was Time Stop. You know how fun it would be to time stop your creation to try to get a new thing fixed on it mid-flight or mid-movement?
Okay, here's what you do. You like hold in the air for like a few seconds, and then you do rewind on it, and then it stays in the air for a few seconds.
Anyways,
Yeah.
this game really gets me.
Sorry
For
about that.
me, this is my second highest position on my list, and that's a surprise to me because I thought it was going to be number one. But I went over and was just thinking the last week, and I decided what my number one was. Anyways,
Surprising.
Yeah.
Anyways, this game invoked my inner creativity. It appealed to my Lego and Bionicle loving inner childhood self that, like, I just loved building whatever weird contraption that I could get together
And
that
torturing
would
Koroks.
that was not okay, I do not torture Koroks. I treat them very nicely, and I treat them very nicely specifically because of how many people treated them like garbage.
I
no,
like
I-
strapping them to rockets.
Also, I got to talk about that ending, dude. Holy shit! I think that tops Twilight Princess, right?
Yeah, the final boss at least was ridiculous. Like, absolutely insane.
Like it's just
Like,
it's
I
just a
haven't gotten to
non-stop marvel.
Like, does anyone care if we talk about it at this point?
I think Ice hasn't finished the game yet.
Okay.
I have not.
Okay, he's got to see that ending. It is breathtaking.
I was working on the Master Sword and Shield.
The shrines were consistently amazing. In Breath of the Wild, I felt like maybe about 25 or so shrines were kind of duds. In this game, not only are there more shrines, 120 versus 152 in this game, but there are less duds. I thought there was maybe like 3 shrines on my top that I could count on my hands that were duds. Tears of the Kingdom.
I did every shrine in Tears of the Kingdom. I did not do that in Breath of the Wild.
I did.
And also, I just realized this. I did every shrine in Tears of the Kingdom. I never got around to finding the Hylian shield.
The dungeons aren't particularly amazing aside from the Sky one, but I will say that they're probably a step up from the Divine Beasts at least.
Yeah, but that's
I-
not really much.
I was so disappointed at the other temples. The Sky one was like, holy shit! Fuck!
yeah, fuck, whoa, we're fighting a monster in the middle of the air and we gotta fucking smash. This is awesome gameplay. And then you go to the water temple and it's just shoot the thing that's popping out of the fucking mud. And then you're just like, well, okay, this is great.
Yeah, the temples could still use some work. I think we're still waiting on the game that's that perfect mix of the open world formula and the classic dungeon formula. But I think they're likely gonna get to something like that for the next game, just because like they've confirmed that the next game won't be Breath of the Wild 3.
Yeah. Elden Ring actually kind of already did this. You have this gigantic open space, but then when you get to the main dungeons, these dungeons play exactly like the old school Dark Souls experience. And I think that Zelda would do well to take a page out of Elden Ring's book and do basically that. Because the legacy dungeons in Elden Ring are arguably the best part of the game, and that's saying something with how like sheer volume of content in that game. When like you have maybe 100 hours of content in Elden Ring, and the legacy dungeons only account for maybe 10 hours of that total runtime, but those were the best part of the game. So I think that if the follow-up to Tears of the Kingdom can capture maybe some of that essence, we would be golden. We would have like one of the best open world games of all time.
Yeah, but even as is, I still think Tears of the Kingdom is like just incredible, and just the what it managed to like accomplish in terms of like game design, like that alone I think deserves it like among the best of the year. And just how much like just it like as many people have said, this game should not exist with the mechanics that it has, yet it does, which that's just insane to me.
When I first saw Fuse in the video demonstration, I was so excited, but I was also so terrified for the Q&A testers. Just like, oh my god, how terrible could this possibly go? How many bugs did this cause? Like, was at least like a whole year of R&D just for that one mechanic?
Oh god, yeah, the amount of time this game took. But I know some people are kind of split on it, which I think people are just kind of getting a bit of open world fatigue, and there's been a big uproar of like people wanting the old Zelda formula back, which is ironic though, because what's that? You want an old style Zelda formula game that's more focused on detailing the characters and expanding the lore and having a more driven story? Congratulations, we got that in 2011 and you didn't buy it.
By the way, I don't think people are getting tired of open world games. They're getting tired of this same formula. Here's a giant open world with this tiny story, and then also here's a billion collectibles.
That
Most
I mean,
Ubisoft games.
yeah.
There are only 4 open world, I guess now 5 open world games that have ever really scratched an itch for me that I really liked. They were Ghost of Tsushima, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Xenoblade Chronicles X, and Elden Ring. I don't know what those 5 games have that other open worlds don't, and at this point, I'm too afraid to ask.
But you
one of
also
them
like the Spider-Man games.
I don't enjoy the Spider-Man games for them being open world. I enjoy the Spider-Man games for the sense of being fucking Spider-Man.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's true. That's
But it's in
something
an open world.
Yeah, that's something I was even thinking about with like Tears of the Kingdom and like Spider-Man. Like Tears of the Kingdom is an amazingly designed world with like a lot of intricate detail to it, whereas Spider-Man is a pretty basic and kind of bland open world in terms of its design, but it's made up for by how you traverse that world.
Yeah, they really said, hey, all that time you do walking around, what if we made that more interesting by the fact that you are Spider-Man?
Yeah, which I mean, hey, I guess if since we started to bring that up, another one that I know for sure is on my list that we can talk about. I don't know if it would be on anybody else's, but one of my 5 games I have listed here is Spider-Man 2.
I got it. I have it on my list.
Nice.
I've only gotten to play a little bit of it. So far, I like it better than 1, except for the fact that it doesn't have good gadgets.
Yeah.
The gadgets in the game kind of suck. you're usually better off just using your well, I don't even know what they're called, like your character abilities, I guess. Like
Yeah.
Peter's tech or like symbiote powers and Miles' Venom stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you could just say like your special moves for all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
There's
the gadgets are mid though.
There's like one good gadget and then one good gadget on like specific enemies, and like that's it. The other two just worthless.
Spider-Man
Yeah,
2 was
launch.
my 5th place entry on my list.
Nice.
And just because 5th place doesn't mean that that's bad. This is just a ridiculously competitive year for games.
That's still the top 5, so it's like it's like, yeah, that's not a bad thing at all. But yeah,
What'd you
like
think of it, Nancy?
I really, really like Spider-Man 2. 2018 was my game of the year that year, so I was really, really looking forward to Spider-Man 2, and I thought it was a fantastic experience. I do have a few issues with it. Like, I think the story could have been a little bit better in some areas with how it handled some of its characters and its general plot, but I think the gameplay was incredibly fun. They expanded a lot of the traversal move set to where I thought the way you traverse this world was like so much more fun than the original and Miles Morales. It's gonna be hard to go back.
The wingsuit.
It's gonna be hard to go back to those games without the wingsuit
Yeah,
because that was
yeah.
so good.
Yeah, I went from
I swear,
went-
I'm like the only person who like barely used the wingsuit.
yeah, I went
I think
from
it's
playing
insane.
I went from playing Spider-Man 2 a little bit with Scott's PlayStation 5 when he was over at my place one time. And then I went and I was like, you know what? I haven't played Miles Morales yet because I just stopped playing on my PlayStation for a while. And it's
Yeah.
available on Steam. Screw it. I picked it up. I'm like, I miss the wingsuit.
Dude, the wingsuit is
Wingsuit,
so
okay.
good in Spider-Man 2. But yeah, like there's a like Spider-Man 2, it's a lot like Tears of the Kingdom where it's more of a good thing, which I know some people have gotten a little tired of. Like, this has been a year where you've heard a lot of the, oh well, it's a $70 DLC. Like you heard.
DLC. This is a new game.
Sorry, you got real soupy there, Scott. Can you say that
I said
again?
this is not a $70 DLC. This is definitely a new game.
Yeah, oh yeah, you've just been hearing that a lot with like direct sequels, and I kind of get where people come from, where they might be a little bit worn out on like a formula if it's being done a lot. And granted, I felt that way a little bit with Spider-Man 2, where it's like, I do think this is ultimately the best of the Insomniac Spider-Man games in with how it plays and all that, but at the same time, I do think it has a bit less of the magic that the first game did, just because the first game was the first game. So it doesn't feel like as unique or stand out, but I do still think this is a fantastic game with everything that it does. It really adds some value to the PlayStation 5 that it was badly needing.
I wrote that down on my list. I said this is an honest to God reason to own a PS5. Parentheses rare.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought the game was really good. My only big complaint with it really is that it didn't really do enough new. I don't know. It just kind of felt samey.
Yeah.
It's really good. I feel like they could have done more with it, you know?
Yeah, I can agree there. I feel like while I do think it was good that the game still existed, I do think Miles Morales ended up diminishing this game just a little bit, considering that made it so this game was the third Insomniac Spider-Man game that we've had, so it's starting to wear thin a little bit, which is why a lot of people, including myself, hope they do like some sort of like big shakeup for like the third game, which they very obviously teased at the end of this one. I know some people were hoping for multiplayer, but it sounds like that's not going to be happening given what we heard about like an Insomniac Spider-Man multiplayer game that was canned.
Okay, so does everybody know about the big twist with Venom at one point? Here?
Should we just steer away from spoilers in general for this?
I mean, we kind of can, but I feel like even then saying the big twist with Venom, it is a twist that the trailers have not tried to hide at all.
That's true.
Well, I was talking about how you can play as him at one point.
Oh, right.
Oh, that point. Yeah. So yeah, you could
Yeah.
just say the point where you play as Venom. You don't have to say anything else about it.
Anyways,
Ye-
no, I literally said that right before you could play as Venom, I was on the call with my friends playing the game. And I said into the call with my friends watching at that exact moment before it happened, I said, if I can play as Venom, this game is goated. This game is
Yep.
10 out of 10. And then they gave me control, and I was just like, yes!
Yeah. Yeah, and that also sounds like people were speculating about it before the massive leak happened, but yeah, it does sound like that segment is basically a testing ground for a Venom spin-off game that they're planning that looks like it's going to happen like 2025 according to that leak that we saw.
Which is funny because from what I seen, it looked like he controlled like the Hulk from the Avengers game.
Kind of did a little bit, yeah. Yeah, but like there's a lot with Spider-Man 2 that was just so fun, like just everything about that game. Like it probably one of my only immediate issues with it that I can think of is that I could actually think is like really egregious is the game was it was a fair bit buggier than I was hoping it would be. I ran into a good few glitches throughout my playthrough.
I guess I was lucky because I only really encountered 2 glitches, one of which was that an enemy ended up in a space I couldn't hit them very
Yeah.
easily. I had to keep using uppercuts. And there was another one where basically what happened was that the enemy wasn't responding to my hits at all, and I had to reset the encounter.
Yeah.
I got lucky, I guess, because there was only 2 bugs, but I saw some of the bugs online. I was just like, what the fuck is happening here?
I mean, I'm pretty sure you saw me post how I got Spider Cube during the final boss.
I know you mentioned that you found the story was weaker. For me, I actually found the story to be stronger overall. The end game of this game is pretty much everything that I was looking for out of a modern Spider-Man story.
Yeah.
I'm very tired of how, like, when it comes to Miles Morales as a character, the immediate solution that any comic book author comes to is to kill Peter Parker to allow Miles to step up. But this narrative decided to say, to hell with that, that's stupid. Let's have an opportunity where both Miles and Peter are in their prime and working as heroes at the same time. And that was such a gigantic breath of fresh air for me as a person that I'm one of the rare few that's very critical of Spider-Verse, for example. So I just had a good time. I was very happy with that. And in addition to that, I found that I was always on my toes guessing where the plot was going to go. There was never any instances of like, oh, this is so stupidly obvious where this is heading. Like, I was continually guessing where it was heading, especially with stuff like, for example, the big twist with MJ near the end. I did not foresee that happening, where she would get taken over by a symbiote, for example. That was completely out of left field. Another one was like, I noticed there was foreshadowing early on in the game, but it wasn't too obvious, which was like, Sandman said to Peter, just like, well, you'll wait until they come for you. And they had no idea what he was talking about. But if you think about it, it could be that could have been interpreted 2 ways. Either they're referring to Kraven's hunters, or it could be referring to how the public sort of turns against Peter a little bit during the plot. Anyways, I really, really like the story myself.
I think that was more just Raven because he was hunting
Yeah.
Sandman too.
That was very much supposed to be Kraven. But yeah, like I enjoyed the story. My issue was more just how they utilized some of the characters. Like my biggest critique is just how they use Venom in this game, where it doesn't feel like it's the Venom we know and love as a character, why so many people like him, but instead it's just the new Goblin storyline with the symbiote attached onto it. Like, which, I mean, because, like, you know, a kind of spoiler, but not really. Venom is Harry Osborn in this game. And I ultimately think that as a service to Venom was a disservice, where I think Eddie Brock is just better as Venom for like making Venom the character that we know and love.
You know what? I'm going to say something controversial. I've never been a big fan of Eddie Brock as a character.
Oh,
So
well,
for me, this story worked.
that might be. Do you read the comics or know of the comics all that much?
I don't really know of Venom. I don't really know of Venom in the comics books very much. I'm familiar with him more so from the movies, and I hated the two Venom movies.
I think you would like Eddie a lot more if you got to know the comics, because the comics flesh him out a lot.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Maybe the upcoming Venom game will be the opportunity that is necessary to allow this character to stand on his own, because I think that, you know, where it ends up, like, Eddie kind of has to be Venom now, right? At this point?
Yeah, basically, if we're getting a Venom spin-off game that takes place after 2, they kind of just have to introduce Eddie Brock, because I have no idea how else you would do Venom in a game otherwise.
Oh, what if we just make it Harry, but again?
That'd be weird.
Yeah,
anyways,
but
I think we've talked about this game enough probably at this point.
But yeah, ultimately still a fantastic game that was very, very good. That probably, unfortunately, that one of its lasting legacies will be being massively snubbed at the Game Awards, because, oh boy, people were not happy about that.
I thought it was going to be Zelda fans that blew a gasket. Nah, they were surprisingly chill about everything. It was Spider-Man fans that blew up.
Yeah, but if we're gonna talk,
Didn't get nominated for like 8 things and not win anything.
Seven. Yeah, so which people were making like a 007 meme. Oh, we call Spider-Man 2 007. 0 wins, 0 awards, 7 nominations. It's like, Jesus Christ. But yeah, if we're talking the Game Awards, there's the game that did the complete opposite of Spider-Man and absolutely cleaned house at TGA, which I think for most people, if Zelda is not your game of the year, it's likely this one, the third game I have on my list, and that is Baldur's Gate 3.
Baldur's Gate. Oh.
Yeah, I knew
How
Ice.
many hours do we have for Baldur's Gate?
I knew Ice was going to get into that one.
I am so glad this game did so well. I was hyping up for it so much, and most of the time when I hype up a game, it's complete shit. Cyberpunk.
Oh god.
I was so glad it was not only a good game, but the best game of all time. Sorry. Nothing compares. This game is the GOAT. It treats its people right. It treats its devs right. It's a fucking passion project. It made money, and it cleaned house with the Game of the Year at the Game Awards.
I was pretty surprised by how successful it was. Not that I thought it looked bad or anything. It's just that, I don't know, like Baldur's Gate and like D&D stuff in general doesn't like feel mainstream, even though like it's getting way more popular recently.
D&D 5e has been a really big deal in the board game community.
Yeah, but like I'm talking like to the general, like generally, like not, like, you know, not like sells a bajillion copies kind of popular, you know?
I think the game has sold about 10 million copies at this point.
There's 250,000 people playing right now. Within the last 24 hours. Yeah.
And like, I also did not hear about the game at all before it came out. And then they're just like, hey guys, this game is Keenography. I was like, wait, what? I've never heard of this.
It came out in August, and it's still number 3 on the most played games of Steam.
Jeez, that's impressive.
It's only beat out by Counter-Strike 2 and Dota 2.
Anyways, I only have a little bit to comment on about the game, because I'm only about 2 or 3 hours in. My playthrough is shared with Ice over there.
Hello.
And I can say that from what I've played, I really, really, really dug the level of freedom that the game gives you. Like, you can be a psychotic, evil murder hobo if you want to be, and the game will just have to continue and roll with it. Like, this game doesn't say no to anything. If you want to get naked and walk around the public with your dick hanging out, You can. If you want to kill all of the people at the base camp, you can. If you want to join the enemy trolls, you can. Likewise, you can also join the enemy trolls and then decide to backstab them and then become an enemy of the state. You can. How? And the game's very generous with its reloading and loading. So, like, if a situation goes badly because maybe you got a shitty dice roll, you're just allowed to redo it if you want to with no penalty, which was really surprising to me.
Did release a mode that a specific mode that you can play that doesn't let you save
Oh, jeez.
every single option.
So like
You
just
get
can't, like,
one save.
like, unused.
So, like,
have
it's like a
One
hardcore mode.
save. Yes, you are only allowed one save for that thing.
Oh my god, that sounds like a nightmare.
Anyways, it's a very fun game. What I appreciated about it from CRPGs is, well, the reason that I struggled to get into CRPGs before is because I just don't really like top-down games, to be honest, for the most part. But they have a mode where if you're playing with a controller, you can go over the shoulder, and that instantly just tricked my brain into thinking, no, this is more like a Skyrim like kind of experience. And it's just like, oh, okay, this clicks now. I'm having fun.
Meanwhile, I'm the opposite. I prefer the top-down view of it, even though I'm not a tactics player. It's kind of funny how we're opposites on that.
Yeah, I'll fully admit, like, this type of game is normally not something that I get into, but the fact that I was able to, like, get into it, I've only played a couple hours of it, but I've really, really liked what I've played, and, like, it's so impressive. Like, again, part of the reason why I included this here for my, 5 games is just because of how impressive of a game it is. Like all the freedom, all the things you can do. Like it is like genuine props for the amount of effort that was put into this game. I think it's part of the same reason why I think Tears of the Kingdom has gotten so much love, is just because like these are just such exceptional examples of just the insane lengths and depths that people can go to with the expansion of game design.
Like the freedom. It's weird how similar Tears of the Kingdom and Baldur's Gate are with their design philosophies. They're basically games where the game system is designed in a way that it never says no to the player.
Yeah,
If
basically.
you want to attempt something in Tears of the Kingdom, you're allowed to attempt it. If you want to attempt something in Baldur's Gate 3, you're allowed to attempt it. It's a very fascinating kind of design philosophy that really just is very, very difficult to achieve, obviously.
Yeah, which I think is part of the thing that kind of blew up in Starfield's face, because I know a lot of people were critical of that with Starfield this year, with how it's a Bethesda game, but you felt very restricted in what you could do.
Gotta love a game that lets you let the impulsive thoughts win.
Oh God.
Yeah, no. Baldur's Gate is absolutely that. I poor Ice over there. We were on a quest together. We had to go talk to this hag, right? And he was trying to do the quest legitimately, but my stupid ass had the brilliant idea that I'm gonna break the door to her house. And so
I was like, don't do it.
I pull out the sword and I immediately go to break the door, and it pulls him out of the cutscene and starts a combat encounter.
You idiot.
And then Ice's response is to betray me and start trying to kill me while the hag is trying to kill him.
Oh my God.
And then there was and then in that same area, you tried to 1v1 a frog and lost.
Yes, there's a magic frog in the starting area that has this like uber hexer dodge ability or whatever. So if you go and try and swing at it, you're almost certainly going to miss, and then it can just spit poison at you and kill you and rip you to shreds. It's like this one little level 1 frog enemy at the beginning. Do not fuck with the frog.
I think the only thing that can kill it is power word kill, which I don't think is actually in the game.
Yeah, it's like I will get back to Baldur's Gate 3 at some point, but just the sheer level of detail is like so commendable that it's like it's a game that like I fully endorse winning Game of the Year for just how much effort was put into
And-
this game, and I respect the hell out of it.
You
I
guys
only have
haven't even
one
gotten
criticism
out of
of
the
it.
main little area.
I only have a single criticism of the game, and I don't even know if that lands yet because I haven't played enough of it. Which is, I didn't really like the music. I thought that it was kind of generic.
Oh,
But
that's-
really, against everything else, that doesn't matter.
I have not
Yeah.
played the game.
I
I
was
probably
gonna,
will.
gonna say we're not hawking too much from you. Are we, Flame?
No, I have literally nothing to say about it. It
All
looks
right.
neat.
Yeah,
It's
I
good.
think
Wait, it's not on
yeah,
the list. It's not like
yeah,
number 6 on the
okay. Okay, cool. So yeah, I think that's pretty clear for Baldur's Gate. Then okay, I'll slip one in here that maybe only Scott will be able to talk about here, but I threw this in here partially because I wanted to give it the attention that I think it deserves because it got snubbed hard and it's gotten not a ton of conversation, and it's what I think could be argued as the most underappreciated game of the year, and that's Octopath Traveler 2.
Yes,
Yes,
correct.
video games.
Video
Oh, no,
game.
oh, nice. Flames in on this too.
I wonder if it's an 8 out of 10.
Okay, I don't think the thing is I don't think I finished the game, but I did like everything except like the one thing right at the end.
You did every quest to completion, like every character's quest lines.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I'm
I've
playing
only
Diet
I've
Octopath.
only played this game for about 10 hours. What I can tell you about those 10 hours is that this is one of the greatest turn-based RPGs of all time, hands down.
Yeah, like oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, between the visuals, the music, the combat mechanics, how they managed to convincingly tell 8 separate stories, but still have them interweave at certain points that feel organic. It's just a sheer masterwork from what I've seen.
Yeah, it feels like they
I-
really did learn so much from the first game. Like so many of the criticisms were addressed in like such smart ways with 2.
Yeah, like okay, the thing I hated about Octopath 1 was how spongy the bosses are. Like they could end up taking like 20-30 minutes, and like it was just really annoying. Maybe I was playing the game wrong, but like
It is designed to be broken, in all
but
fairness.
like it was really annoying for me. But in this game, you have the potential to do way more damage, so you can just have your anime cat girl just kill half the boss's health in one hit. Pretty
Yeah.
much just spam buffs and debuffs, and then just have this girl sick 'em.
Yeah.
And like Hikari can also like do a ton of damage, and then also have another turn at the end of the turn
Yeah.
to do
it-
even more damage.
like there's just so much about Octopath 2 that like it really did not get the love that it deserved, and like everybody who's played it, like, and if you look at like any like someone who has like any presence on social media, like any journalist or like influencer, if they have played it, they are singing the praises of this game because it legit is like really really good, and it's a damn shame that it kind of got swept under the rug.
I don't know. I think part of it might just be because I don't think Nintendo did the marketing for it because it
No,
wasn't a Switch
no.
exclusive.
Square Enix did, and Square Enix paid dearly for it.
Yeah,
So no one knew this game existed. Just play the
Yeah.
game. Please. I'm begging you. I'm on
Yes.
my knees.
yeah,
The
Square.
game sold over 1 million copies eventually.
I mean, that's good. But like, didn't the first game sell like 4 million or something?
3.5.
Close
So-
enough.
Yeah,
So,
and
like-
it's partially because Nintendo did handle the marketing for the first game, so they actually pushed it.
Hey guys, this game is good. Please play it. That was basically the marketing. I
Yeah,
guess.
Square Enix is so bad at marketing like their smaller games, and as a result not many like got into this one, but seriously, like it's like just it's incredible everything that this game accomplishes, and it's just another continuation of why I think the HD 2D series is one of the best things Square Enix has going for it right now.
And the
playing-
topic of soundtrack of the year, it's either this or my number one pick.
I'm
Oh,
playing Diet
Uh,
Octopath.
Bomb Rush Cyberpunk is pretty good too. But like, it can also make the argument that like it doesn't necessarily count because I think a lot of it's like licensed music, but it's like random indie artists you've never heard of.
oh god, yeah, like oh my god, it's amazing, the music in this game. Like go listen to the boss music in Octopath 2 if you have not heard it. It is incredible how I think the guy who's done the music for Octopath hasn't done like a ton before, but he is making a name for himself.
Revo will go down in history. He will be a legend in the composing game when all is said and done.
Seriously, and yeah, like just the interconnection of the stories was a huge criticism that was thankfully addressed from the first game. So it feels like these characters have way more interaction with each other and their stories, which A+ on that. And it's I'd say it's arguably the best like JRPG of the year. I think that can very easily be argued.
About the like stories being more interconnected. They can also be more interconnected in like more subtle ways, aside from just the ones where like the two characters have one chapter. Because I'm pretty sure like Cassie the apothecary, she was tending to wounds to the people in the war that Hikari fought in, which was really cool.
Yeah, honestly, the subtle connections like that are often like even better than like some of the most obvious ones. But yeah, it's like it's like I mainly put this here because there's definitely games that I could argue should be on here over it, like some that like spoilers for some of my honorable mentions. I've got like Resident Evil 4 remake, Street Fighter 6, like or like like Star Ocean Second Story R. Those I also could very easily argue could be here, but I think Octopath 2 like deserves the mention for just how good it is and how underappreciated it was.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, I think we've been talking about this for a bit, so
Yeah.
maybe we can move on now.
Okay, and so we'll move on to the last game I have here in my top 5, and I think it's another one that the majority of us are going to have, if not maybe all of us, and that is the big return to 2D for the funny Wahoo man, and that is Super Mario Wonder.
Pretty fun, honestly. You never know what to expect from the damn flower.
So here's the thing: he doesn't like this game.
Okay, so like let me explain. So
What a mistake.
I don't know what it is about this game. It just feels like a game I played 10 years ago, but like not in a good way. Like, I don't know. Like the general gameplay of it isn't really that different from like New Super Mario Brothers. And all the Wonder Flower stuff. Like it's so weird. Like everything is so weird that it all just blends together, and like I'm not fazed by anything anymore.
That is certainly a series of takes. You're
Yeah.
I know I'm in the minority.
like the super minority with this one.
Yeah.
Like I just got to like the second world, like finished that, and like I didn't have the energy to keep going. I stopped playing.
So fun though.
Okay, here's the thing. Some parts of it are fun. Like, I found a like flower thing or whatever to like the special world, and like the level I played in the special world was really good. It was like this, the one where like you had to do like the rhythm block platforming thing. Like I love that level. Like you had to go at like just the right amount of speed, and was really challenging and really fun. I was like, all right, more special world, give me more of this. And then I couldn't continue on in the special world, and then I had to go back to like the regular levels, which I didn't think were nearly as fun. And I was like, wow, this is certainly a video game.
I see your argument, unfortunately, singing piranha plants.
No, I agree. That is very good.
Okay,
Yeah.
so for me, on my list of games for top 10, like, I guess it would either be Spider-Man 2 in number 5 or Mario Wonder in number 5. I kind of just flipped a coin with that when I was making up this list right now. I didn't think too deeply of it. But I am the exact opposite of Flame here. I had Mario Bros. DS, and I remember playing it and kind of liking it. And then I had Mario Bros. Wii. I generally really liked that, but I sucked ass at it. I was playing with my sort of, but not really sister, and she was terrible at it too. We did eventually beat it, but it took like a year. Go to New Super Mario Bros. 2. I hate this game. And then get to New Super Mario Bros. Wii, and I'm just tired, fam, at that point. Like, I just never wanted to see a 2D Mario game ever again as long as I lived. I thought,
You mean Wii U?
yeah, the Wii U game. And so, for me, it was a massive hill to climb to make me interested at all in Mario 2D again. I wasn't even that into Mario Maker, truth be told, because, like, online it was just like a bunch of repeats of similar ideas. You only had a handful of good ideas, I felt, in Mario Maker 2.
They were either too hard or
They're of rhythm level or whatever. Anyways,
no touch.
it's Mario Bros. Wonder. It's announced. The first thing that sticks out to me is how it has soul again. It doesn't look like a goddamn Flash game. It doesn't look like it looks like it has soul. It looks like it has charm. And that was the first thing that stood out to me. I was like, okay. And then they end the trailer, they say it's not titled New again. And I was just like, real shit? So then, come the release of the game, I end up playing almost the entire game in like a week. I just consumed it. I loved it. I loved the music. I loved how much the use of color. I loved how lively the enemies were, how unique they were. I loved the wonder effects and how like wacky they were. The game felt like the essence of a deep fried meme, but playable. It would be like something the game was like a shit post that you would see on Twitter. Like, oh, here is Elephant Mario. This feels like something that you would see in 2018 in a deep fried meme, but it's a game that you can play. And I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. I love this. This is so stupid. This is so wacky. I love it. And my only criticism of the game that I think that lands meaningfully is that the bosses are kind of mid.
Yes. Yeah, that's for like as creative as this game is, it's very weird how like lacking the boss lineup is and how just kind of poor it is.
Anyways, I have never 100%ed a Mario game, just because I find that 100%ing Mario games usually result in like you getting to 99%, and then the last 1% is the most bullshit, heinous thing you've ever seen in your entire life. I'm at 98-ish% in this game. I think I will 100% Wonder by sometime within the next few weeks.
I will tell you the last level is a kick in the balls. I will tell you that. It is a hard level. But honestly, I feel basically the same way you did, man. It's like there is so much like creativity with this game. It's like such a breath of fresh air after just how stuck we all felt for years with the new Mario Bros. Series. It's the first proper full-on original 2D Mario in like 11 years. And I really hope that this does set a new standard for 2D Mario with being more creative, more interesting, and just like shake things up as opposed to like freaking great value platformer that New Super Mario's ultimately ended up becoming, unfortunately.
Yeah, New Super Mario Bros. Is the Walmart brand.
Yes.
The Walmart brand platformer. Jesus Christ. That is the greatest summary that is the greatest summary of New Super Mario Bros. I have ever heard.
And like honestly, I like the new Super Mario Brothers games, but it's unfortunately what?
Aside from two, they're not terrible. It's just that they're just so they blend in together.
They were
Yeah.
soulless. They were the victim of like that very soulless era that Mario went through, but now it feels like Wonder was like a huge shakeup, and like I 100%ed that whole game in like less than a week, and it was honestly just it was a great time front to back, and it felt like what so many people had been wanting from 2D Mario for so damn long, and I hope they continue on with it. Like go do like even more creative, like who like even things outside of like the Wonder Flower and stuff like that. Who would ever thought we would have gotten like Daisy as a playable character in a mainline Mario game? Like that's cool.
Yeah, they did a lot of cool stuff like that. Honestly, I said this to my friend Zach. They could have titled this game they could have titled this game Super Mario Bros. 4, and I would not have been mad at them using that name.
Although I don't know if they would have called it that, because I think World is regarded as Super Mario Brothers 4.
I mean, it basically is.
It basically is. But my point is that it is worthy of that title, in my opinion. It lives up to the legacy of the first three games plus World.
Yeah, I can agree to that. I can definitely agree to that. Like it's just front to back, just an insanely good game. I haven't had a chance to play it multiplayer yet, but it's definitely something I would like to do in the future.
Yeah, multiplayer.
I played almost the whole game in multiplayer. It was wonderful.
There it is.
Nice pun.
Yeah.
Roll credits.
Hey.
Yeah, no, I know some people got critical of the game for its online functionality. I really liked the online functionality, because one of the reasons that I got really tired of Super Mario Bros. Wii by the time I beat it was that my sort of, but not really, sister would just continually pick me up and fucking cheat my ass into some lava, and the joke got old the third time it happened.
I was that kid that did that.
Yeah,
I was also
it
the
happened.
kid that
The
did
joke
that.
got old after 3 times. Then, by the time the 300th time it happened, I wanted to break a damn controller. They don't allow you to do that sort of stupid shit in this game, so you're all just cooperating and trying to get done with the level together. And like, with the ghost system that they came up with, it kind of makes some levels a bit easier, because like you could just if you die, you have a chance to just revive yourself if you can get to a player ghost. And I thought that made some of the special world levels a bit more bearable, which was very helpful, because some of those levels were capital B bullshit.
Yep.
Yeah, but yeah, honestly, like just a damn good game, and ultimately, I hope it continues to set the new standard for Mario going forward. But
For sure.
yeah, so
The next 3D Mario has a hell of a show to follow, in my opinion.
Oh, yes, it does. Absolutely. And I think they'll pull it off, though. I think they'll pull it off. But yeah, so that'll be it for the 5 games that I list off. So next, how about next we go to Scott, and Scott, you can mention any of the games missing from your 5 that we haven't talked about yet. Then we can go to Flame, and then we can cap off with Dom. So we can just go down mentioning any games that we haven't listed yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mine's gonna end up being the weirdest, because I played games entirely different from you guys.
That really makes it a little more interesting.
Alright, so the first game on my list that wasn't mentioned is my 4th place contender, which was Fire Emblem Engage.
Valid.
But what can I tell you about Fire Emblem Engage? It's the best. It's just flat out the best playing Fire Emblem game of all time. From how it feels to menu, to how it feels to control, to the battle forecasts, to the animations, to the progression systems. It's just top to bottom perfection in that regard. It is the ultimate refinement of this formula of Fire Emblem that they've been refining and refining and refining and refining for generations. I struggle to go back to some of the older Fire Emblem games because of the polish that's just there. The map design. The map design is the best that it's been in ages. Good Fire Emblem map design will encourage you to split off your army and not turtle. Turtling is a strategy in Fire Emblem where you just have all of your units bunched up together and move together as a coagulated force so that you can just heal off damage that enemies do to you, and so you don't really have opportunities for openings. This game discourages turtling by having the map structured in a way that you always want to break up your forces if you can, which always just results in more interesting encounters than the alternative, which is the alternative is Fire Emblem Three Houses, where every single map is a turtle map, and every single map is best to be played by just giving everybody a bow and then just sniping people from halfway across the map. That Fire Emblem Three Houses is a fine game. It's probably one of the best Fire Emblem games, period, objectively speaking, but it is also a flawed game. This game addresses those flaws. The menuing, the graphics, all of that stuff has been improved from Fire Emblem Three Houses. The map design has been improved from Fire Emblem Three Houses. And I would argue that the hub world has also been improved. Some people would tell you that Three Houses is better than Engage for its social elements and how it's similar to Persona. That is fair, in my opinion, but I would say that I prefer this more trunicated experience because it meant that I was wasting less of my time between match to match. And the Somniel itself was smaller and just felt cozier and more intimate and friendlier than the damn church did, in my opinion. I'm sorry, I guess. I'm sorry, Three Houses fans.
I love how that in the Somniel everyone has casual outfits.
Yes, everybody does.
Yes.
The music is god tier, although this is Fire Emblem. Music being god tier is expected. That is the expectation, not the exception. This follows through. And also, everybody in this game, just to me, everybody feels so charming and weird, and well, queer. This is a world where gays outnumber the straights very clearly, and I love these people. I want to live with the people in the Somniel. I feel happy when I'm around these people.
Yeah, I like the cast at first was kind of weird, but like eventually they just kind of grow on you. Although like the early ones aren't quite as good as like the later ones, but like this is a world full of lovable weirdos, and like the only normal guy is the main character, and then they look like this, and like if you somehow haven't seen Alir, just look them up right now. He will instantly agree with me.
Yeah.
Alir would be the stupidest, weirdest, most out there protagonist of all time. They're literally a divine dragon that is worshipped by all of the people in the land, but they wake up and just like, no thanks. Hey, those are zombies over there? Let's run.
Probably the smallest protagonist ever.
Yeah. Alir is great. I love them. I love Alir, and I love Alir's relationships, especially with like some of the conversations you can get in there. I ended up marrying Louis, and he is my husband though.
Actually, I also like how Alir has the exact same dialogue regardless of whether they're a boy or a girl.
Yep.
So it's the same character, basically.
Yeah. Honestly, like I think Engage is like a very, very good game. I know it's gotten a surprising amount of flack from Fire Emblem fans, but I think they were expecting the wrong things out of it. Like this is very much what?
They were expecting more Persona Emblem.
I think the problem is they were expecting like this big like a continuation of something like Three Houses in terms of, because like Three Houses had like this big grand layered narrative, whereas Engage is one of the simplest plots Fire Emblem has seen in a very long time. But I think that's because this was very obviously supposed to be an anniversary celebration game, but COVID kind of fucked that up. So
yeah. Honestly, though, I didn't have trouble with the story. The story is stupid, but it's stupid in a fun way. Like,
yeah.
Like, for I'm a Fire Emblem pet here. I get to say talk about this pretty clearly. Fire Emblem has had some dumbass stories in the past.
Yes.
Looking at you, Fire Emblem Fates. Fire Emblem Fates is so dumb that it's borderline insulting. But this is dumb in a way that is not insulting. This is dumb in a way that you would get like as a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah, well,
It'd be
because
like, I got the feeling playing this game that I got like when I was like a little kid watching shows like Code Lyoko or Shaolin Showdown, where there's this like goofy tone, but like also there is a hint of seriousness, but it's always pushed into the background.
yeah, well, that's partially the problem is that Fates thinks it's smarter than it actually is, whereas Engage doesn't try to act smart. It's just it's a lighthearted, simple, goofy story that you're not supposed to take overly seriously.
Yeah.
And Health is actually like written well, and not just like Face is very weird. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, yeah, Fates is not that good. It's got its but Engage, like I completely agree. I think Engage is like a genuinely very, very good game design wise. It is incredibly well done. Probably one of the best playing Fire Emblem games we've ever got. It addressed
one of the best games ever, honestly.
it addressed a big criticism that I had with Three Houses, where that game Three Houses is a fantastic game, but I'm sorry folks, that game looks like doo-doo butt water.
Yeah.
It's an ugly ass game, whereas Engage actually is pleasant to look at.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Three Houses was the first Fire Emblem game I ever tried. I played it solidly for a while, and then it eventually got too fucking boring. I got to the point where you face, I think it was Death Knight, and that was the end of it for me.
Yeah, but I
think
mean,
that's actually pretty early on.
It is
Yeah.
early.
yeah, and I think Engage like does a lot right. I really think if you just take Engage's like excellent gameplay and combined it with like Three Houses storytelling, you would have like arguably the best Fire Emblem game ever, which hopefully that's what they go for come the next like wholly original Fire Emblem game.
Give me Engage's gameplay and Three Houses story, and you have a recipe for like a 10 out of 10 uber masterpiece that could never happen again.
Although, like speaking of Three Houses story, I'm actually really glad. Actually really glad that Engage doesn't have multiple paths,
Yes.
because, like, okay, with Fates it was a cool idea, but then with Three Houses, like the multiple paths kind of thing, they didn't do it quite as well, because like the first 2/3 of the game is mostly the same, and then the last third is what's vastly different. Like, it just ends up being really repetitive when you want to see everything. But with Engage, there's just one path, so you don't really feel the need to play it again. Which
Exactly.
which shouldn't sound like a positive, but like it is. I guess it's like one playthrough that you enjoy way more, instead of like 4 playthroughs or like 3.5, I guess, if you do it right. Where like you're just kind of playing the game like 3 times ish.
Yeah, Three Houses was very difficult to get the full experience out of it. It's the kind of game that I feel like you can only like play like once a year or something like that, where the game is very clearly structured in a fashion where they want you to just do these playthroughs back to back because of the renown system.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I think we covered Engage well here. So
Yep.
were there any other games from your top 5 that we haven't discussed yet, Scott?
Plenty. Next
Okay.
up is Pikmin 4.
Yep, I was expecting that one.
I'm a lifelong Pikmin fan. I have been a Pikmin fan since New Play Control was new on the Wii. So that was the Wii port of 1, and I think that came out in like 2009 or something. So I was still a kid at the time. Pikmin means a lot to me. It is a comfort game that's always been there throughout my life. And this year was very bad for me. Very, very, very bad for me. By the time that Pikmin 4 came out, I was so physically and mentally ill that I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to actually enjoy this game when it came. But thanks to just really good medicine that I was on and the ease of playing it, I was able to get into it, and it was the first game I got to play, despite my severe back problems that I was having, and my carpal tunnel, and my sickness, and my mental health degrading. And it was the shot in the arm mentally that I needed. It was just so charming and so lovely. And I really, really, really am thankful that it just came out at the time that it did, because it pulled me out of a pretty dark place, to be honest. As for the game itself, 10 years of waiting, but it delivered, and it delivered confidently. The game design systems that make up the Pikmin series, a lot of them have been rethought completely, and I would say for the better. There's just a sheer ridiculous volume of content. I think this game goes for about 40 hours, which is extremely meaty by Pikmin standards.
Oh yeah.
So this is a game that, like, it just keeps on giving. When you beat the game, you've only basically done maybe a third of everything that's in it. You have a whole other second half of the campaign to do, in addition to a side mode which will make longtime fans just smile ear to ear. I know that I was. There's this, another thing about it was the insanely beautiful presentation. It really just took me back to that time in my childhood when I used to play outdoors a lot. And I just used to look at the world and wonder, and this game captures that feeling of just looking through a child's eyes at the world. It's so beautiful.
I think it's actually kind of insane that so the game was made in Unreal Engine 4, right? Yep. So it's kind of insane to me that they made a game that runs perfectly smooth with the same engine as AAA devs are making PS5 games with, and they still have performance issues.
That's Nintendo magic, bud. It fixed most of the series' long-standing issues too. There's now a lock-on, which just is extremely helpful for me, because I was always terrible at aiming Pikmin when I had to go and throw them. There's, all sorts of small quality-of-life changes. I didn't write them down in this document, but I probably should have, because, really, the game is just top to bottom easier to play than any of the prior entries, and there's no, stupid barrier to entry that there might have been before. For example, Pikmin AI. That's a good one I can highlight. Pikmin AI has gone from poo-poo garbage bad in Pikmin 1 to poo-poo garbage bad, but slightly better in 2, to tolerable in 3, to extremely competent in Pikmin 4. And I was very impressed by how they managed to make that work. You can set Pikmin off on their own tasks and do these things without your supervision, and most of the time they're not going to get killed. They're going to survive. They're going to be able to do the tasks that you assign to them competently. They also fixed an issue that I had with Pikmin 3, which is Pikmin 3 had all of these fun and interesting side activities, like the bingo mode or the challenge mode, that were all just pushed to the side of the game. They were all part of the challenge mode. You had no real incentive within the main game itself to go and do that stuff. Pikmin 4 smartly marries that game design to the main story, so that you're actually forced to actually try these side activities that they've come up with. And as a result, the side activities themselves are both very fun and also a gigantic refresher in the action when you're just doing the same sort of thing over and over again, which could get repetitive after a while. My only criticisms that stick, in my opinion, of the game that lands, the music isn't as memorable as Pikmin 3, and also I do wish that they tried to keep the story more in order. Pikmin 4 kind of just acts as a soft reboot of the series. I do wish that they had kept the story in order. But honestly, those are very minor criticisms because, like, do we really care about the lore of Pikmin beside like the Piclopedia, which actually does go in depth with stuff? Not really, no. But yeah, honestly, 10 out of 10 game for the most part. Like I just, it blows me away how good it is, and I'm just sitting here hoping to myself, please, for the love of God, do not take another 10 years for Pikmin 5. Do not take another 10 years.
I don't think
Just
I don't think they will, simply because of just how well Pikmin 4 did. Like, it's easily the most successful game in the franchise.
Because as it turns out, when you make a good game on a successful platform, people buy it.
It's the first original Pikmin game to release on a platform that was actually successful.
Yeah. And like, I'm pretty sure even like the 1 and 2 remasters, like,
they did well in Japan.
like didn't they like outsell like every previous game?
Not the 1 and 2 remaster, but they did do very well in Japan. They were actually like at the top of the chart for a few weeks.
And I think that 3 Deluxe also sold like 2 million copies.
Yes, it did.
3
Yeah.
3 Deluxe soloed the series before up to that point.
It's like, oh wait, I guess people like these games now, huh?
Yeah. Honestly, just goated video game. Just absolutely, completely wonderful. I wish I could go back in time and experience it again fresh.
Yeah, honestly, I haven't really played Pikmin 4 yet, but everything I've seen of it, it looks spectacular. Like, visually, that game is absolutely stunning. Like, Pikmin low-key has always been, like, an absolute, like, juggernaut visual-wise for Nintendo. Like, Pikmin 3 is, like, a rare example of a game that comes out very early in a console's lifespan and is one of the best-looking games on the system. And I think 4 continues that with just how good it looks. Like honestly, visually, I think you can seriously argue Pikmin 4 is a better looking game than Tears of the Kingdom, which is insane.
Yep, for sure.
And just like I think the general alteration of the gameplay was a really good idea. With how they changed the perspective of it. I think they blended a lot together well from the series past. They also did a really smart thing, I think, as well, where this is the first Pikmin game where you actually have a very sizable cast to consistently interact off of, which I think that was a very smart move as well.
They make a joke about one of the people that got stranded being a venture capitalist, and the game makes fun of it, and it's one of the greatest things I've ever seen.
Oh my god. Yeah, like there's actually a lot of characters to bounce off of. You got Ochi, the good boy, of course, extra
Ochi
points.
is the best boy. I didn't even mention him. Ochi is a calming and wonderful presence. I went into the game thinking, not being kind of mixed on him. I thought, oh, this is probably going to be forced. This probably isn't going to work that well. I walked away thinking to myself, I don't know if I could ever play a Pikmin again without Ochi.
Yeah, that he is. Ochi is very much a good boy. We love Ochi, but yeah, so much about Pikmin 4, just fantastic game, and ultimately, I think it's just the game that Pikmin really needed after so long away. Just have a game that is like just it does exceptionally well in so many areas, sells great. Like there are games where they come out where you just know they have secured the future for their series, and I think this is the case for Pikmin here.
Pikmin 4 is to Pikmin what Metroid Dread is to Metroid.
Yep, pretty much exactly that. Or if we were going off of Fire Emblem, what Awakening was to that series.
Yep. Anyways, that's all I really have to say about Pikmin 4. Nothing from Ice or you?
I didn't play either of the games you've listed so far.
I haven't played Pikmin 4 yet. I definitely should. But I played the other 3 games.
Are you a fan?
Yeah, they're pretty good. But I'll get to it eventually, probably on stream. Twitch.tv/FlameGuy21.
Shameless
There's
plug.
the first shameless plug of the night. Let's go.
Okay, to be fair, I have streamed the first 2 games, so yeah.
Okay. So on to my game of the year, my number one. This is something that I was asked about before the stream began a few days ago. Are you gonna put this number one, or is it gonna be something else? And I said I have to think on it, and I ended up walking away, deciding, you know what, to hell with it, it deserves it. And that is Xenoblade Chronicles 3: Future Redeemed. Yes, I am giving Game of the Year to a goddamn DLC. I don't care.
Honestly,
It is worth it.
honestly, Scott, considering we have had a large swath of people argue that Cyberpunk 2077 should be Game of the Year, I think you are completely justified in saying this.
Listen, I like Cyberpunk. That's not Game of the Year.
I mean, it didn't come out this year.
But yes, proceed.
Xenoblade Chronicles 3: Future Redeemed feels like a video game that was made for me, specifically. As in, no one else, as in, no test audience, no forethought. They just said, hey, Scott, what game do you want? And I gave them a list of things that I would want to see, and they said yes, and then 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 yes, and yes, and yes. And they kept going on and on until they ultimately walked away with something that I will never forget.
I can't believe the moment when I was playing it, and this is going to be a spoiler, so skip like 40 seconds if you don't want to hear it. The moment they announced, and Scott pointed out that everything was connected, was like a turning point in Future Redeemed that made me go, holy shit, this universe just got a whole lot bigger.
Yeah, no, that scene, okay, we're just going to continue with the spoilers then? Fine. When you get to the radio scene, I was playing this game late at night on stream with NC in a call. We get to that goddamn radio, I'm crying because one of my greatest wishes for this story came true. I got to see Earth before the experiment, which is something that I have wanted to see for goddamn 10 years of my life. Yeah, I get to the damn radio, and then randomly, just rapid fire, all of my greatest dreams about this story just come true rapid fire.
When the words Dmitry Yuriev left the radio, I heard this man ascend to a higher plane over Discord.
Okay, so like when I played the game, I was not playing it with them, I was just playing by myself. I saw this, and I had to go to the home menu to make sure and just like take it in. Just like, what? What? Huh? What do you mean? What do you mean you just name dropped him? What?
Uninformed, Dmitry Yuriev is one of the major villains of the entire Xenosaga series, and it just so happens that this fills in a major plot point that was left unresolved in Xenosaga 3, which was the stuff about the ancients, about how they discovered a method to become gods. And it turns out that he was just talking about Klaus the whole time. I was just like, okay, you're just going to add lore to a 17-year-old game? Sure, I'll take that, fam. I don't have any problems with that.
The what the fuck moment when you go from playing Xenoblade in its art style, and then you go to something that looks like... It looked like the outside of a Power Wash simulator level.
The whole place, I was just like, why does this look like Xenosaga? What is going on?
Because I haven't played the other games.
Because Klaus's Earth was fucking Lost Jerusalem the whole time.
Yup. Yeah, they just...
Holy Jesus Christ. Okay, so, like, I have always thought about and theorized and fantasized and thought about how the Xeno series might actually be connected. I never expected them to actually do it. Okay, so like, I didn't think that we would ever hear references to Gears, references to X, or references to Saga in the main story. But then it happened.
What's the one Xenosaga reference in Xenoblade 2? The what's-her-face blade?
Cosmos. But that was very clearly like supposed to be just like a thing for fans. That wasn't like marrying the canon or anything.
Well, that's what we thought.
Yeah, now we're questioning this. Anyways,
I think me and you went into theory mode about that, but that's for another podcast when we decide to actually dedicate a Xeno podcast.
yeah, that could be interesting. Anyways,
Although
so
MC hasn't played any of them, so
he's been
Yeah.
exposed to them through via osmosis at this point. Anyways,
Yeah.
so I just want to illustrate some things about this game. When I first heard the premise, okay, you have a new story set in the early days of Ionios with a different cast of characters, and also Shulk and Rex might be involved. My first instinct was, oh, Shulk and Rex are just going to die in the opening, and you're going to have a bunch of different, a bunch of literally who's that aren't that interesting, and I'm going to wish that I was playing as different characters. This game said no. No, you're going to have exactly what you want. And you're going to see Shulk and Rex in their past their prime as old men that have seen hell and also are not like you'd imagine that they'd be ruined because of all their basically they were robbed of their happy endings, but no, they're still the same characters at heart. The writers understood the nuances and importance to Rex and Shulk's characters and managed to keep that intact after like a very long time for both of them, and it feels extremely natural, and it feels like very forward, like natural progressions of where their characters would ultimately end up. And it was just wonderful. And then Matthew himself just within the time span of 20 hours just randomly on a Tuesday night decides to just show up and be one of the most nuanced and interesting characters that Tetsuya Takahashi has ever written. So it's like, holy shit. Not only is he entertaining and funny, but also he's very deep and very interesting. Like, okay, sure, we're doing that.
Yeah, but where the fuck is Pyra, Mithra, and Mithra's child? Where are they? Where are they?
Mithra's child is not real. It can't hurt you.
I'm predicting that Mithra's child is the protagonist of a Warrior spinoff.
The only Warriors
Anyways,
game
so-
I'll actually fucking play.
I went into this game expecting to be mixed on it. I thought, there's no way you could satisfyingly end this story within a small DLC with may or may not having the protagonist return. And I thought that it was probably a recipe for disaster. I mean, you're ending a lifelong saga of games, and within a limited time span. But they somehow just completely knocked it out of the ballpark. They completely nailed the execution, paying off references and things to games from throughout the series, to Blade 1 especially, to Blade 2, to Blade 3, by like filling in holes that were left within Blade 3. Now we understand deliberately so that Future Redeemed could explain these things, and satisfyingly so, such as more reasoning for how N ended up the way that he did. And it pulls it off in a way that just feels completely natural and satisfying, that it really shouldn't. This story should fail under its own weight, but it doesn't. And it's just fascinating. It delivers on the finale promise perfectly. And it's just a very emotional story. I got very, very teared up when I saw the stuff with N and Gondor near the end. And I think that this is one of those game series now where with Future Redeemed, the longer that you were a fan of Xeno, the more you get out of Future Redeemed. Like, I see sometimes there are some people that were just started with Xenoblade 2 that didn't get as much out of Xenoblade 3. But, like, I consider myself a Xeno boomer. I started on the Wii with 1.
Damn.
So, like, for me, it was like a holy shit experience. So it's not just a fan service smorgasbord. It actually manages to deliver a beautiful, interesting story that like pays off all of these things. I honestly wish it had a boxed release. I wish it was like Torn of the Golden Country, because I'd pay fucking $60 for this game. I'd probably pay more than that for that. Honestly, like I loved it that much.
My man just spent $100 on Xenosaga, a game he's
Gears.
already a game he's already beaten twice, just to have it physically.
All right. So, anyways, so like all of that story stuff would be one thing, but the other element that sings with this, that makes it my game of the year, is that this is a 20-hour RPG that doesn't get old, that feels fun to play beginning to middle to end because of its mechanics and the way that they're structured. Like, the affinity point system is one of the best character building systems I have ever seen in an RPG, because it incentivizes you to do everything, to find collectibles, to fight monsters, to do side quests. It incentivizes you to do anything and everything, and makes everything and anything feel meaningful. So you're always progressing, even by just doing minor things. So that makes you stay in the game and want to play more and get addicted. And that's what happened. I booted up the game, and like it was 9 p.m. that day, because Nintendo doesn't release updates until 9 p.m. for some stupid reason. And after begging to, like, let me in, I get in, and I don't stop playing the game for 7 hours. And then I wake up and I play more. And then I go to bed, and then I wake up and I beat it. The next day, I beat this 20-hour RPG within 3 days, and it just flew by. It just completely flew by, and I hope to God that the affinity point system returns in the next Xenoblade Chronicles game, because they had completely convincingly addressed, like, how to keep Xenoblade's gameplay compelling moment to moment. Just make everything feel important, and then when it does, suddenly everything's interesting. Suddenly I want to do everything. So honestly, completely remarkable experience. And maybe it's unfair to give it Game of the Year over something like Tears of the Kingdom, because it's not a standalone release, it's a DLC, but I genuinely don't care because of what it meant to me specifically. I beat this game and I was in Zen. Like, you couldn't bring down my mood for at least a week. Like, even Xenoblade fans, they're prone to drama, they're prone to getting into arguments and shit. And I am very prone to allowing myself to get swept away in that cycle of vitriol. But for a fleeting moment there, I didn't care. I was happy. I was content. I was satisfied. And I am eagerly awaiting the future of this series, because it was like a stunning final act, but it also, with the potential connections to Gears, Saga, and X, it's like a promise of a potentially even more interesting future that I didn't even think existed. And I'm just blown away. I really have to commend the team. I think Tetsuya Takahashi and his peers, they knocked it out of the ballpark. I wish I could go to this guy and thank him in person, honestly. Thank you for this insane, wonderful story. Thank you for this insane, wonderful game.
And thank you for our sponsor. Right?
I wish I had a sponsor. That means I'd be getting paid.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
You would deserve it too.
But yeah, I think yeah, you put it perfectly, and it's gonna be very interesting where the series goes, because they've said they're gonna be starting basically anew with the next game. So
What do you guys think the new not a prefix, postfix, I guess, would be?
I think they'll call it Xenoblade Saga.
Well, you think they're gonna continue calling it Xenoblade?
Xenoblade Saga. That's the story. That's what it's gonna be called now.
I was thinking something more along Xenotales or Xenolog or
Xenolog could actually work, but yeah, I think they nailed it with what they've done with this game. They've Tetsuya Takahashi finally got to tell a complete story for once in his life, which that's great. And honestly, wherever they go with Xeno next, I'll be really interested, and I might jump on it sooner, because getting a fresh start might be a bit easier for me to jump into with Xeno. But they did a fantastic job with Future Redeemed.
shout out to Monolith Soth for being in 2 parts of your Game of the Year list, Scott.
Tears of the Kingdom and Future Redeemed. I was eating this year as a Monolith Soft fan.
I don't really have too much else to say about it. I did not like the game nearly as much as Space did, but I did really like it. Uh,
All right then. So is that all the games that was on? Oh, sorry.
It was probably my number 5 personally, but I did not put it on this list specifically because I knew he would talk about it.
Oh, I see. All right. So was that all the games from your list we got to talk about, Scott?
That's everything off of me.
All right. So we can jump
I'm
to
gonna go
Nick.
get a drink now because my throat is sore.
All right. Maybe we can discuss in the meantime while Scott goes to get his drink. We can go with you next, Nick. Any games from your list that we have yet to discuss?
Okay, so my number 5, technically number 6, is Hi-Fi Rush.
Oh
good
shit! I
one.
forgot about the game.
Good one. Good one.
Like, it's really weird to just see a as I guess it's like decently budgeted game, just release like it's polished and it's really fun, and it's only $30 for some reason. Like, oh yeah, how is this not a $60 game? Like, what?
Don't you know games need to be $100 according to Sony?
And like if you don't know about it, it's on Xbox and PC. It's like a rhythm-based character action game. So like, think of like Devil May Cry, but like, if you time your hits to the beat of the music, your attacks do way more damage. And
basically,
like you also have to dodge and tune to the music too, and like everything is all like rhythm-based. And also has like this really cool like comic book kind of art style.
Isn't the plot
And,
that
like,
he gets is the plot something like he accidentally gets his MP3 player stuck into his chest?
Yeah. So like the plot is like Shy is like this dumbass dude, this like that doesn't have an arm, I think, and like it's like this. He goes to like get like this experiment thing done on him to like get like a robotic arm, but then the MP3 player that he was listening to at the time just got stuck inside of him, and it gave him like musical based superpowers.
Doesn't it give him a Xenogears reference in it at some point?
Oh yeah. I don't know if Space is in like the other room. I don't know if you heard that. There was like one part where it references Xenogears. It is very based. As like a very, very blatant Xenogears reference to like the second disc thing. Also it's like a really cool like comic book art style. I like even like the shadows, I think, have like those like comic book dots on them. Like it just looks really good, and the music is also really good, which you know makes sense for like a rhythm game. But the insane thing to me about the soundtrack is that like each boss has like this licensed music playing in the background, but you can turn on streamer mode, and then you fight a different boss. Well, no, you don't fight a different boss. It plays a different track that is completely original, and like.
Guys, your mic died.
Yeah, guys, your mic died. Hello? Oh, God. Oh, sorry, ladies and gentlemen. We seem to be experiencing some technical difficulties here. You can still hear me, right, Ice?
Yeah, I could hear you.
Okay. At least you can hear me. Can you guys hear?
Need to leave and disconnect, or disconnect and reconnect.
Okay.
Discord mobile be going burr.
Discord mobile go burr.
The new update.
There we
for
go.
us is
There we
trash.
go.
Welcome back.
Minor technical difficulties.
All right, Discord being Discord. Okay, what was the last thing you heard?
Completely original tracks.
Okay. Yeah. There was like a streamer mode where like all the bosses have licensed tracks and stuff, but like there's a streamer mode where like they're replaced by completely original completely original songs, like with lyrics, and like they're really good, but like barely anyone's gonna hear it because no one is going to play the game this way, at least not most people. And like it's kind of insane how much effort they put into this specifically.
I mean, a lot of people
Yeah.
might experience it because you know how many people would watch a stream.
I mean,
won't
like
play
that
the
too. But like, if you're just playing the game yourself, like you're not gonna turn on streamer mode. What's the point?
Hey, 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 hey.
And like, it's just a really fun, polished time. But I guess my only real complaint with it is that like, the game can be pretty easy if you're like familiar with like character action games. Because like everything is in tune to the music, right?
Right.
Like that's the point. Yeah, but it just makes it really easy to figure out when you're supposed to dodge and attack. And like aside from like a few enemies, like this one stupid samurai thing, it doesn't really challenge you that much. And I was playing the game on hard, but you know, like it's fun, so whatever.
Yeah.
Play my rush.
What?
Space is on his list to get to.
Yeah, honestly, I need to get around to it. Like, I've heard very good things about it. I really should just get it on Steam here. But yeah, from like everything I've seen, it looks like a game that's right up my alley with its visual style and tone and just the general vibe of it. Looks incredibly fun, great freaking music. Yeah, it's definitely a game that I've got my eye on and will for sure be playing in the future. All right, so I think that's good for Hi-Fi Rush. Anything else from your list that we haven't mentioned yet, Flame?
Okay, so here's. Okay, so I don't know. I don't know if this is good news or bad news. So 3 of the 5 games on my list have already been mentioned.
Oh, that's
Uh,
okay. I mean, we at least covered them. So you got one more?
Number 4 was Fire Emblem Engage. Number 3 was Octopath Traveler 2, and number 1 was Tears of the Kingdom, to the surprise of no one. So for my number 2, I have a game that none of my friends have played, and it's really annoying. Cassette Beasts.
Yeah.
Into it.
Okay, so Cassette Beasts is like this indie game. It's the best way I would describe it is if Pokemon and Zelda had a baby. And like basically, you get like isekai'd into like this weird island with like people from like different timelines and like different place and like different like time periods and stuff. And like you're all stuck on this island full of like monsters, and like for some reason their essences can be recorded onto cassettes, and then you can transform into them by listening to the cassettes. So it's like Pokemon where like
Do you have to listen to Eye of the Tiger to turn into a tiger?
no, I don't think they ever explain what it sounds like. I guess it's static. Because there's like this like static thing when you like transform. So you basically like run around and explore the island, while like recording monsters. And like I think one thing that a lot of like monster collectors get wrong is that like there's like a lot of monster collecting games where like the monsters are just kind of eh. Because like you've seen Pokemon, like the design, like Pokemon designs are like really good. And like you see like like I don't know, you see a Vaporeon, it's like, ooh, I want one. I want a Vaporeon. But
then you look at Magikarp and go, oh, that's just a fish.
Like I don't know, like I play like Yokai Watch or something, and like I don't like see like the yokai and like immediately want to use them. But like in this game, like there were a lot of times where I saw like a monster, I was like, ooh, I want that. Like there's this one, that's like this aristocrat vampire called Scampire. And there's like this like walrus with like this giant like ice crystal on his back that looks really cool. And you do actually get like 1 or 2 starters to pick from. But the starters have like split evolutions, so they're like you essentially have like 4 starters in the game. Like all of those ones are pretty cool too. Like there's this like a little like candy fairy, which is what I had, and like it turns into and one of its evolutions is like this living gumball machine, and like it looks weirdly cool. or like the sheep is a spirit, and then it can like ascend to a higher plane or like return to the earth, and it's like this weird grave thing. Like it's just stuff like that like just adds a lot more because like you actually want to use them. And like some of them also give you new abilities. Like if you like record this seal, like it lets you swim. And there's like this weird like electrical space, like this weird like electric astronaut thing. It's a very weird design. I don't know how to describe it.
Balan Wonderworld, but done well.
Like that, and like that gives you like magnetism powers that you can use like a grappling hook. So like you just like run around the island and like, so you just like run around the island and get stronger. Like, it's a very fun gameplay loop. And also the music is really good. Oh, and like all the battles are like 2-on-2, and like there's a fusion mechanic where like every monster can like fuse with each other. And like
sounding more and more interesting by the moment.
And like they gain all of the abilities of both of them. So you essentially have like 1 super strong monster instead of 2.
Sounds insane, but it sounds like more ambitious than anything since Black 2, White 2.
And when you fuse, you find out that every battle theme in the game has lyrics.
What's that? This is so weird sounding.
So yeah, play Cassette Beast if you like Pokemon. But like I have been saying it's like Pokemon a lot, but like it kind of like transcends its inspiration. Like it's obviously inspired by it, but like it kind of ends up feeling it like its own thing completely.
Yeah, I'll admit I haven't touched it at all, but it definitely sounds like a game that I would be interested in.
Damn, I think I could get something out of it just from your description.
So yeah, the play Cassette Beast, send tweet.
It sounds trash.
But yeah, honestly, that definitely will be a game I'd look into. And nice to see some indie love in our list, since we haven't really mentioned any indie games yet. But yeah, that's pretty cool to see. All right, then. So that's all the games you had for your list, Flame?
Yeah, unless we want to talk about Tears of the Kingdom again.
Yeah, sure, let's go. I think we got another 3 hours on that topic. No.
All right. So we can round this off here with you, Ice. Any games that we have yet to mention for you on your list?
I technically have 4, though I don't want to really talk about one of them. It was just an extra. That being Honkai Star Rail, TLDR. If you like Persona and gacha games, there you go.
All right, yeah, we can, yeah. If you just wanted to mention that briefly, we can throw that in there. It's just like a quick mention for your top 5.
Yeah. But if we want to keep on the indie pace, let's give it up for the finals. A wonderful shooting game.
Is
With
that I thought that was you?
destructible
I thought that was you.
environments.
Wasn't that Ubisoft?
Was that Ubisoft?
I think that game's
I could have
Ubisoft.
sworn it was indie.
Hold on.
I've heard of the finals.
Developed and
I know
published
nothing
by
about it.
Embark Studios.
Oh, okay. I thought for some reason I thought that had a connection to Ubisoft.
Yeah. The only other thing they've done is Arc Raiders, which isn't out yet.
Okay. Yeah. Never mind.
I've heard of this game, but I know nothing about it.
It's just a giant game where you have 3 teams of 3 where you gotta fight over some money, cash it in, and then defend the point against the other people so they don't claim the cash out. It's a very fun game. The environments are destructible. It's very balanced.
So is it like Apex
it's free to
Legends
play.
meets Payday or something?
Uh, it's closest to Apex, but it's a lot smaller of a map. And there's
Okay.
only 3 classes you can play as.
Right.
Never heard of
Right.
this game now.
It's just fun.
Yeah.
It's a good, solid. It's a solid game. Just looks great, feels great.
Yeah.
Very in-depth customization of your characters. Nothing's really broken.
Yeah. I mean, you should have heard of it, Scott. It was in the Game Awards.
One of the coolest features is
was it?
Yeah, it was
one of the-
there.
Well,
one of the
remember, when
coolest.
it comes to the VGAs, like, I tune out most of it mentally.
There's like some really cool mechanics. Like when your person dies, they turn into like a little statue that looks like a toy soldier, and then you can interact with that with another mechanic. You can revive them, but you can also, if they're not in a safe spot, you can pick up their little toy soldier using what looks like a Gary's mod grab, because you use like a force grab, and you can take them and hide them other places and to revive them. And you could also use the Gary's mod grab to like grab propane tanks and throw them at people, which if they explode with the destructible environments, it creates a very dynamic fighting ground. It's just overall a great shooter. in general.
Nice.
Actually, sounds interesting.
And
Yeah,
it's free.
Yeah, it does sound interesting, and yeah, since it's free, maybe I'll give it a shot at some point. All right then. Oh, so what was the next one for your list?
The next one I had was Kerbal Space Program 2.
Oh,
Uh,
don't
yeah,
believe
I
don't believe I've heard of that one.
The long-awaited
Kerbal
what
Space
should have
Program?
been Yeah, there's a sequel. It came out literally this year in like February-ish.
I thought that game came out rough.
Kerbal Space Program 1 was bad. I mean, like, it was very jank. It worked, but it was jank. KSP2, it's just a lot more solid and feels like a complete project. They have, like, I've been playing the story on it, and their tutorials tell you basically how to be a rocket scientist very easily. It's a very complicated subject that it's actually easy. They make it easy to pick up. 12 out of 10 for STEM teachers. If you are teaching gravity and how orbit works, maybe try bringing up the Kerbal Space Program 2 tutorial videos.
That'd be awesome.
And then you can launch a rocket with your kids together that you built. But yeah, that's just been really fun. I wanted to give it a quick shout out because I've been playing that like for the past. Well, I've only been playing it for about 2 days, but it's definitely impressed me.
Very last minute addition to the list.
Very last minute addition.
They're respectable. You gotta respect the ones that get in there at the last minute.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of the other ones I had on here that we already listed were Tot Case, Spider-Man, Baldur's Gate 3, Mario's Wonder, but we in future redeemed. So,
Right?
huh?
And Future Redeemed.
right?
Yeah, that's the last one I said.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So of the finals, Corporal Space Program 2, and so there was one last one on your list you wanted to mention that we hadn't talked yet?
Yes. The last one I had, was Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty, another DLC. Pretty much made the game one complete game. Like, it's a little bit funky on how the DLC story ties in to the end of the first game, because when you beat the game, it's pretty absolute what's happening. The only, like, ending for the main game that ties into it is the fuck it, I'm just gonna live out the rest of my life ending. If you do any of the attempts to actually save your life, it completely ruins it. But since nobody here is gonna play Phantom Liberty, I might as well tell you what happens. You basically end up contacting the president's right-hand woman hacker lady, who hacks into your brain chip that's malfunctioning in your brain and says, "Hey, I could fix this, but you gotta help me." And then you help her, and then she ends up being a traitor, but also not a traitor. And you end up going into the scummiest part of the towns, and then you take on this basically a warlord. You do all that, and then at the end, you finally get rid of the virus. Completely gone. But it came at a cost. You cannot have any cybernetic implants anymore, ever again.
I mean, considering everything that's happened to this dude, good riddance.
So you no longer have the relic at the end. Well, you have a choice, but you have one of the endings is that you end up in a hospital for 2 years, and then you come back and, like, you end up walking up to a Ripper Doc, one of the guys that put cybernetics into you, and you go to see just if it's even slightly possible to get literally anything. Because you don't trust the FIB, which is the people that, or the FBI or whoever it was, the fucking government gonks that gave you or got rid of the thing. And you're in just such a state of disbelief, you go to the Ripper Doc to try to get it, and he's become corporate. He's no longer an independent guy because he had to. The times changed and shit. And while you're heading when you're heading to the Ripper Doc, some kids come up to mug you, and you're like, really? When I say kids, they're like 18 or so, and you're like, really? I could beat your ass after you've been jumping around, taking on 300 plus NYCP or NC, whatever the fucking name is, NYPD or
NYP, New York Police Department.
No, it's NCPD.
You know.
Not in real life, in the game.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you end up taking on a shit ton of them, and you're just like, bah, 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 done. And then you get mugged by these two, like, teenagers, and you're like, I could beat your ass. And then you go to throw a punch, and then they throw you down the stairs, and you get knocked out. And then you end up just, after you visit the Ripper Doc, after waking up, one of the other characters from the game walk up to you, and it's like, guess it's okay to be normal. And then you end up walking, and it ends with you being part of the crowd.
Nice.
You're just another face in New City.
Yeah.
Or, Night City.
So is that your DLC of the year?
That's my DLC of the year. My game of the year is Baldur's Gate, but
Understandable.
my DLC of the year is Phantom Liberty.
Nice.
I'm surprised you gave it to it over Future Redeemed, because I thought we talked about that before.
Okay. I would give it to Future Redeemed, but you gave it to Future Redeemed.
Hey,
I mean, it's fine being overlap.
Gotta spread the love. But yeah, I mean, that is pretty cool that that Cyberpunk was able to redeem itself and do a lot better after that really rough period, and the DLC kind of seemed like the capstone on that. And well, I think people are a little too quick to forgive the game and act like nothing bad ever happened, because that game was delisted from the PlayStation Store, folks. It is very cool to see it manage to turn around and become the game that many people were hoping it would be 3 years ago.
And I've managed to stave off mentioning this the whole time, but I got a Steam Deck, the OLED 1 TB version, and I was like, for shits and giggles, I booted up Cyberpunk on it. They have a dedicated graphics setting for the Steam Deck, and you click on it, and then it just works. I mean, the text is a little small, but it just works.
Nice. But yeah, so that seems like we got through all of our top 5s there, and discussed all of the games that were in an assortment collection of our top 5s. And there's some honorable mentions we could probably just very briefly mention. Like, I've got several that I could bring up here, just that just to give a shout out to. Like, I just shout out to like Sea of Stars, Resident Evil 4 Remake, Street Fighter 6, Star Ocean Second Story R, like Mario RPG Remake. All of those I think are worth mentioning, at least from me. Any like quick ones you guys would want to shout out?
I haven't played any of those. Aside from Mario RPG Remake, but even then that was only like an hour so far.
I briefly mentioned it a while ago. I haven't played it, but I watched Scott play a little bit of it. Bayonetta Origins looks really good.
Yeah, that's another good one. Anyone's from you, Scott?
My honorable mentions would be Mario RPG Remake, Metroid Prime Remastered, Bayonetta Origins, and Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection.
Nice.
Dead Space 1 remake this year too?
Oh yeah, Dead Space 1, that's another really good one that we could throw in there. And also Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, if we're going to count like remasters, I would throw that in there as well. You know, oddly enough, I didn't think of Final Fantasy 16 when I was doing my honorable mentions, and I don't feel that bad for not thinking of it.
And there's the comment, pitchfork and torches.
If they got that.
Maybe it's because you already did a podcast of it, and all of your thoughts were just gone.
Yeah.
I've had that maybe before.
I've only played a bit of Final Fantasy 16. I thought it was really, really good from what I've played of it.
Yeah, like, it's a good game, but I got my problems with it, but it's still worthwhile. But yeah, I do think there were so many games, and there's even games like, you know, something like, something that a friend of ours mentioned, In Stars and Time, which looks like this really cool indie RPG that just came out like a month or so ago. I want to give that a shot because that looks fantastic. Yeah, there's just so much good stuff this year that like you can barely fit it into even a long ass podcast like this. But I think that just goes to show just how damn good this year has been, and hopefully there will be plenty to talk about in 2024 as well, because there looks to be some pretty damn great things for next year as well.
Yeah,
I have like 3 honorable mentions real quick.
Okay, yeah. We forgot your honorables, my bad.
Okay, one of them is Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. It's like a Jet Radio, but it exists.
I watched your
Although they are making a new Jet Set Radio through some miracle. So
let's go.
So like, if you want to play a Jet Set Radio game in the meantime, that is literally your only option. What are you gonna say?
Didn't you say that game was kind of mid in your review?
Okay, so like, because the thing is, it's like, you know, like I really enjoyed it, but I didn't really personally care about it that much. Weird to describe, but it is very good. Please play it. Another one is Undertale Yellow, which is this fan game.
That's very good too. I could probably cite that as an honorable mention as well.
So it's like a prequel to Undertale where you like play as one of the kids that fell down to the underground before the main one did. I think I'm maybe like 2/3 of the way through it. Like it feels like an official game, which is like pretty insane.
Like
One of the funny games of all time.
like an official prequel, but it's without being an official prequel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tony Fox could just walk out tomorrow on Twitter and say Undertale Yellow Cannon. I would not argue with him.
My last honorable mention is a weird one. It is a Doom mod called My House.
Oh yes, I can't believe no one brought this up.
Okay, so like, it's like this Doom 2 map, for GZ Doom. I think you have to use that source port to play it. So like,
One of the best horror games in years.
it's like this bizarre, like, it's this weird rabbit hole where like you're like playing through this map, and then it's just like this dude's house, like whatever. That's neat, I guess. But then like the further you go into it, the like more insane it gets. Like there's a point where the animations just start becoming a lot more detailed, like out of nowhere, and it's like, what? And like, there's like this like liminal space bathhouse you can wander into, and like, there's even like multiple endings, and like, there's like a scavenger hunt too to get like the good ending.
Yeah.
It's just like insane, and like this is all one Doom 2 map, and it's just like, what?
Yeah,
How is this real?
I remember watching Pyrocynical talk about that mod, and it seemed like very, very interesting.
I had a feeling that was going to come up at some point if we had enough people here.
Although, I mean, personally, I don't really like playing it that much, but it's one of those things that you just have to like look at it and just appreciate it.
And
Like, someone put a lot of effort into this.
They even went insofar as to like role play it in the real world to like connect the story in real life to it.
yeah, and
I think it came with like a journal. This guy like going insane making this.
And one other honorable mention I wanted to mention, Gravity Circuit, fantastic Mega Man's like game, like
Another game I need to play.
genuinely. Oh, what?
The music is godly from what I've heard on YouTube.
Yes, genuinely. If you love Mega Man, go play Gravity Circuit. It is fantastic.
I also realized I forgot to mention in my honorables, Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach Ruin DLC, another DLC that's really good.
I forget that
Practically
game.
fun game. Yeah, I almost forgot until just now, but it was extremely good. I didn't actually play through it much like the other FNAF games because I suck at them. But yeah, I like the story, the gameplay it has. It's really good.
Nice. All right. Well, I think that covers pretty much everything we would want to talk about. Any other thoughts you guys have, or do you think we've talked pretty much all we would want to about all the games?
I just want to.
No thoughts. Head empty.
TLDR, game's good this year.
I want to just dedicate how good of a year this was to my rabbi, Bill Clinton.
Oh my god!
A plus meme usage. But yeah, I mean, that's probably gonna do it for this podcast. I mean, hopefully we can maybe do something like this again next year. I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about. Persona 3 Reload, Metaphor ReFantasio, FF7 Rebirth. God, how many games?
Maybe Metroid Prime 4 finally?
God, don't give me hope. Hell, we'll probably
coming out in 2027,000.
Metroid Prime 4 with the Switch 2 launch, please. But yeah, that'll probably do it for this podcast. If you're still here after over 2 hours of this, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all in my next video whenever I get that out. Take care, everybody.
Peace.
Goodbye.
Peace.